I would like to show you something.
Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. It's called the illusion of fundamental forces, and we're about to completely dismantle pretty much everything you thought you knew about the physics of our universe. Seriously, we're looking at some absolutely fascinating source material today that challenges the very foundation of classical physics.
Right off the bat, I know this sounds like pure science fiction, but today we're exploring a seriously dense, paradigm-shifting hypothesis straight from our sources. It suggests that, the apple didn't fall on Newton's head because of some fundamental cosmic pull. Instead, we're going to look at how what we normally call gravity might actually just be a macroscopic illusion. Honestly, I found this completely mind-blowing when I was digging into the material.
So here is the absolute crucial point. What we experience every day as crushing gravity holding us down to the earth, or say, the violent jolt of a car crash, all of that might simply be a macroscopic illusion caused by microscopic geometry. We are literally talking about the physical distortion of atoms themselves creating the feeling of these forces.
To break this all down, here's our roadmap for today. First, the gravity illusion. Then, atoms as unbalanced gyroscopes. Next up, the polarizable vacuum model, followed by the electromagnetic bridge, and finally, engineering anti-gravity drives. Let's get into it.
Okay, starting off with part 1, the gravity illusion.
So, traditional academic science tends to treat gravity, inertia, and electromagnetism as completely independent things, right? They exist in completely separate mathematical formulas, totally separate boxes, but this new model? It argues they are just different faces of the exact same geometric distortion happening in a shared medium. Think about what that actually means for a second. They aren't separate forces at all. They're the exact same physical reaction, just playing out at the subatomic level.
Which brings us nicely to section 2, atoms as unbalanced gyroscopes.
Okay, picture an atom in your head. It's a spinning mass made of a heavy nucleus and an electron shell. In its normal resting state, it's perfectly symmetrical. But when that atom accelerates, its electron shell, which is actually a standing wave, truly begins to lag behind the heavier nucleus. This turns our perfectly balanced symmetrical sphere into this kind of quirky egg-shaped teardrop, and that geometric shift suddenly and completely throws off its center of mass.
And because that orbit is now distorted, the forces inside no longer cancel each other out. It creates this internal, asymmetrical tension that acts exactly like a mechanically unbalanced gyroscope. It physically pushes the atom forward. That push? That is exactly what we feel as inertia when you have to slam on the brakes in your car.
But hang on, let's see how this actually builds into gravity. Because there's a really obvious question here. If an atom is just sitting perfectly still on your kitchen table, not accelerating at all, what on earth is causing it to warp into that egg shape and push downward? Like, how does it know to point toward the center of the Earth?
Well, that takes us right to section 3, the polarizable vacuum model.
Let's just walk through this chronologically based on the source material. Imagine the Earth acting like a giant cosmic lens, literally thickening the vacuum around it. Now, because an atom actually has physical size, the bottom of the atom hits this denser space first. That drag naturally bends the electron wave downward, forcing it right into that teardrop shape we just talked about.
Now, please don't let the math on the screen scare you. The spatial gradient of the time component of the metric tensor, yeah, it's a mouthful, but it simply proves that the vacuum of space isn't just empty nothingness. Not at all. It's a fabric, and it gets optically thicker the closer you get to a planet's core. That invisible gradient is the exact trigger for the atomic distortion.
And the source material completely backs this up, confirming that this spatial gradient is exactly what causes the trajectory of the electron standing wave to bend. The vacuum itself physically deforms the matter, with absolutely zero movement required. So a totally stationary atom becomes an unbalanced gyroscope simply by existing inside this gradient, and boom, that creates the downward push that we've been calling gravity.
All right, moving on to section 4, the electromagnetic bridge.
If you take away anything from this entire explainer, let it be this: the rule of 3. Gravity, inertia, and electromagnetism all result in the exact same geometric polarization of an atom. I'll say that again. They all do the exact same thing to the geometry. The atom doesn't care why it's being deformed. Once it's egg-shaped, it generates force. And that, my friends, means we can potentially use electromagnetism to completely hack the system.
See, because the atom's center of negative charge physically shifts away from the positive nucleus, the atom essentially becomes an electromagnetic dipole.
This geometric and electromagnetic polarization opens up a massive technological loophole for us. If they are all connected by geometry, we can artificially replicate that geometry.
Which finally brings us to Section 5, Engineering Anti-Gravity Drives.
Our source material literally calls this the holy grail of electromagnetism and gravity. And why wouldn't it? It means we could potentially generate momentum without mechanical thrusters. We're talking no burning rocket fuel, no massive heavy exhaust engines. Just pure manipulated momentum.
So here is how it actually works according to the model. By pulsing specifically shaped electromagnetic fields, you can artificially force all the atoms in a ship to bulge in one chosen direction. By doing that, the entire ship becomes its own giant unbalanced gyroscope. It generates its own internal momentum field to counteract the Earth's vacuum gradient. In plain English, the ship just falls upward.
Let's do a quick comparison. Traditional rockets rely on brutal mechanical acceleration. The engine pushes the hull pushes the seats, and the seats crush the crew inside. It's like the G-forces on a roller coaster, but multiplied by 1,000. But field propulsion is a completely different beast. It creates zero G-forces. Why? Because the electromagnetic field penetrates absolutely everything in the ship all at once.
Because this pulsating field is omnipresent, every single atomic nucleus in the crew's bodies is being distorted at the exact same millisecond as the atoms in the ship's outer hull. The whole system accelerates perfectly in sync, which means no one feels a single thing, even during the most extreme high-speed maneuvers.
It is just a breathtaking model, isn't it? It completely reframes how we look at physics. And honestly, it really leaves you wondering if gravity is just a geometric trick of the vacuum and not some inescapable chain holding us down, we might be so much closer to the stars than we ever dared to imagine. What other fundamental limits of our reality are just sitting there, waiting for the exact right frequency to unlock them?